What a great day to be alive. Wonderful. That's it. Welcome everyone to Two Bald Guys on a Microphone, right here at 21.6 The Net, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190. John and his team are fantastic. If you're stressed, they'll help you be blessed. They have a full lineup of massage therapists, licensed massage therapist, anything from deep tissue to sports to acupuncture to hot rocks to you name it, couples massages, whatever
it takes.
They've got it, and they are the best. Of course, also a shout out to our friends over at JH Events and Flowers. J&H right there, JH Events and Flowers.com for the $5 Friday. If you need to spruce up somebody's life, and you probably know somebody who could use some flowers to freshen up their life, stop over there and just say, hey, we heard on 21.6 The Net, and boom, $5 fresh cut bouquet.
Yeah, you get in trouble? $5.
$5. Get you out of trouble really fast. Tony the Kid, how are you? Tuning in on the hashtag Pocket Computer. And good morning to you. Demond is just coming up from the parking garage. So he'll be in here. Blessed to have him here as well.
Hopefully that elevator doesn't get stuck.
Yeah. Of course, lessons from the bench part 2. Didn't really get a chance to finish. Thanks for being patient with us as I was up in the Great White North in the UP and just didn't have strong enough reception up there Wi-Fi to get a show done.
Yeah, Christmas in July with your family.
Yeah, it was great.
A good time?
It was absolutely a blessing. It was a really, really good week. And, something clicked in my brain that said, try to build a life that you don't have to take a vacation from. Right. Which is what we're after. Could be the studio ghost, right?
Yeah.
And so that's, to me, is the best thing. Look, here's DeMonte Ross wearing green. He knew what day it was. But listen, I want to take a quick second and thank everybody who shouted out, called, text. Yesterday was number 54. So now I'm Horace Grant or Brian Urlacher, whatever you want. I'm rolling at that. And it was it was a good day. Yep.
Yeah,
great day.
4 years on this earth, and made a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives.
I've been different in a lot of people's lives. Jen, good morning. Yep, Merry Christmas. Thank you. Yes. And happy birthday. I appreciate that, Jen. And Lisa says good morning. I'm going to guess that Facebook user is Lisa.
It's almost always Lisa.
Yeah. So lessons from the bench. Here's what I want to talk about. We've all been coaches. We've all coached from the bench. We've all coached, life coaching with people and coaching as business coaches and things, mentors. But you all sat on the bench, right? There was a time, whether it was some point in the game or whatever, maybe young in your career, whatever, that you sat on the bench. Damon, your piece, your piece last 2 weeks ago, yeah, 2 weeks ago was great about, you had to accept your role and what you're doing. But as a bench player, good morning, Phil. Glad to have you. And Shayna, what do you want to be when you grow up? Happy belated. Thank you. I don't, you know what? I want to be a radio guy. I think I want to be happy. That's happy and at peace, right? That's what I want to be when I grow up. There's something to that, I think. But when you're on the bench, there's a couple of different personalities that are on a bench, right?
Yes.
You have the person who says, I know Damon's playing. He's going to twist his ankle. I'm going to be ready when he falls, right? I'm going to do what it takes to maintain my spot. So when they look down the bench and Damon falls, hey, Jones, all right, I'm ready. Right. We have the person on the bench who is forever the pessimist that just sits there at the end and says, this coach doesn't know what he's doing. I'm the best out there. Why don't it, what this is bullshit. Blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
It could be your neighbor. We all know that guy or gal, right?
Yep.
And then you have that player or that person on the bench who says, listen, I'm going to be the first in the gym. I'm going to try to outwork everybody to not be on the bench. Right. So they set up challenges for themselves. They do different things. All right. So which one were you? Who do you dial into on that?
Well, I think along the way you wind up like filling all those roles.
Yeah.
Most people don't just automatically walk on and get the start or get the playing time. You're playing behind the seniors. You're playing behind now. Maybe if it's single year middle school, you might have the opportunity to step up. But I know I played basketball up through my junior year, and I did sit on the bench a lot. And I did think that I was better than a lot of people. I was a teenager, teenage boy. What am I supposed to think, right? And my senior year, I'd injured my knee in football and decided not to play basketball to rehab my knee for track. And the coach came to me and he's all upset with me for not coming out. And I'm like, what? To sit on the bench again? When my knee needs rehabbing, and playing basketball certainly isn't going to help it. So I didn't play, but I played the rest of my life.
Yeah.
At a very high level at times.
There we go. Hey, Lisa, does my name show up now? Yes, it does. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Lisa.
I did not type that twice. Okay. So if you're on that bench or you're one of those people, you got to reboot. Right. And this is the part of the show that we always talk about rebooting. This is recognize, educate, believe, orchestrate and change that operating system, and then test. And, we heard a little bit a couple weeks ago, Damon.
Yeah.
And, but let's step off of sports and step into life. We still have those same people. Right.
They exist.
Who do you draw to? Who do you push to? Who do you try to stay away from? You can probably name 5 people you work with those traits, right? Don't do it here. Right. So I mean, where do you go?
Yeah. Speaking of those different places, I've been all of those people at work. You have that boss is like, why are they doing that? Why are they making those decisions? Sometimes we're right, sometimes we don't, because we don't get to see the full picture. We only get to see a small piece of it. So we make up in our minds what the right thing to do overall is. And so one of the challenges with that is just understanding, that people that are making decisions are in those positions for a reason.
Yeah.
You're where you are for a reason.
Yeah. So when we were up in Michigan, Lucy and I are sitting there and she flips on Bob Ross. Right.
My dad. No.
Yeah. And so Bob takes a 2-inch hairbrush, or a paintbrush, and he starts dabbing it on this thing here like this, and he's doing this, right? And what he's doing is making like a sunset sky, right? And he's talking you through this, and he's mixed up these colors and he slopped them on a piece of canvas, and Lucy and I are going, it's beautiful. we don't even know the picture yet, right? But this guy is, and so we start envisioning what we believe the picture is, to your point, right?
Mhm.
Is, hey, I know what the, and I'm looking at this because it's Bob Ross going, this is glorious. And it's 3 colors on a canvas. There's no mountains, there's no happy trees yet, nothing. And Lucy and I are just sitting there going, this is absolutely
Right.
look at how nice he makes this look. Now I could take the same colors, throw it on the canvas very similarly, and go, and people would be like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, the guy with no ear made a lot of money.
You know? So I think a lot of that is to your point, is that might have been all, I don't know, right? Because we went out and started fishing, but we're kind of, I don't know what the picture ended up looking like, but I reflect back on it and go, why did we think 3 colors with a 2-inch paintbrush was beautiful? It's because of the artist.
Yep.
And he saw it, so we said it has to be something, right? And it was weird, but it kind of that in business is a lot of what happens.
Oh yeah.
Is I start assuming that I know the painting you're trying to paint.
Well, we talk about this all the time. People don't do business with a company; they do business with the person who represents the company.
Yeah.
As a mortgage guy, they don't get their mortgage from First National of Omaha. They get their mortgage from Kent.
That's right.
They don't, come to your school. They come to Demand.
That's why I say my new tagline is, I may not be the best lender, but I'll be your favorite. There we go.
Nice.
Shana says, have you come across the one who has all the leadership abilities, but with no desire? What do you do?
No, I don't think so. Because if you have all the leadership qualities, then you have the desires automatically built in. So they probably don't have all the leadership qualities. They might have innate leadership abilities that haven't been mentored, haven't been developed. But if it's true leadership, they're involved. That's been my experience over time.
Well, he sounds like Kent now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that can be true, but the other side is, I wouldn't necessarily say the desire, but maybe that belief,
The drive.
as we talk about, is not there. They don't believe that the qualities they have are really what it takes to make things happen, and so they reluctantly go into different situations or just simply retreat. And so we, from the outside, we look at that as, oh, they have no desire. Well, it's probably more of a limiting belief that they're dealing with.
Yeah, I like that.
Imagine you talking about beliefs.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. But yeah, I would agree. I think they may have all the pieces that somebody just hasn't handed them the paintbrush, or they don't believe that they could make those colors look as good as a Bob Ross, so they don't try. Right. They might be able to make a masterpiece themselves, but their limiting belief, to your point, is saying, I can't make those colors do that on the canvas.
Yep.
Right.
In coaching for years, I would know who my leaders were from the previous year, and we came in, I'd make them captains pretty much right away. And then I learned a really hard lesson one year when I'd made a young man a captain, but somehow between his junior and senior years, he got a severe case of senioritis, and he wasn't a good leader as a senior. So I wait until, sometimes 2-3 weeks into the season and allow that leader to rise to the top before I name my permanent captains for the team. And, when you're around athletes, especially high school athletes, the leaders, the cream always rises to the top. And it's been one of those experiences of mine that you got to be careful about, judging people even positively on their past performance. It's got to be, what have you done for me?
Yeah, but once bitten, twice shy. Maybe that cream rose to the top and they got chewed up and spit out.
No,
Yeah.
it's possible.
And now they're like, you know what? just do my job, keep my head down.
Yeah, and that happens. That does happen a lot.
You know, here it is. But yeah, I like what Lisa says too. People can only make decisions on what they can see and what they view through their own personal life filter. The best you can do is present another picture for them to choose to see. You know, the other piece to that is, you know, it's that old story.
Which old story is that?
You know, I was out golfing with Jerry, and on the third hole, you know, Jerry died of a heart attack, and you know, oh my gosh, that's horrible. What'd you do? Well, it's terrible. I had to hit the ball and then drag Jerry. Hit the ball and drag Jerry, right? You know, so you can create that other picture, but you shouldn't be dragging Jerry. We've all done it. We've had more belief in a person or somebody in our life than they had in themselves, and we drug them for years. You can do this. Come on. Then you go home and you're like, I don't understand why this guy isn't catching this yet, right?
Yeah.
Come on. And they, you know, it's, you know, hit the ball, drag Jerry, you know.
The guy standing on the putting surface as a funeral procession goes by, and he stops his putt to just, you know, bow his head in a moment of silence. And one of his partners said, "Man, I didn't know you were so religious." He says, "No, man, I was married to her for 40 years. It's the least I could do." That's
it.
That's called
enabling. Yeah, I mean, if you're special and you know what you're talking about, Lisa, yes, but this is two bald guys and a microphone. Yes, but so there are those people. I find so what I do is I find the best bench players, the people who are out there, are ones who constantly set challenges for themselves, right? And I'm not even saying goals. I'm saying challenges. You know, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to challenge myself to be better, or learn this, or I'm going to create challenges to better my lot in life. And that's what they play for. I may never get in the game, but I'm going to make a challenge to be the best, loudest teammate. I'm going to make a challenge to be the person that, you know, they come to for answers or whatever.
Well, the NBA, college, and now even it's filtered down to high school, has made that recognition, and then they call it the sixth man award, that best guy off the bench.
Yeah.
And so is it the best guy off the bench that we're talking about, or is it the guy sitting down, the Judd Bushlers and that, you know, the guys?
You got 3 rings.
Yeah, you got 3 rings.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley ain't got that.
But it's important to understand that the people sitting there are learning, and they're making their decisions. Do I want to play? Do I want to get in the competition? Some people are just happy practicing and making the opponent. One of the things I always did at my parents' night, especially when I was coaching at Johnsburg, and it was true, is I would say my my goal for the season is to have the second best team in the conference. You know, and a little bit longer, and I dwell on that. Yeah, and I really want to focus on having the second best team in the conference. And my former parents, returning parents, all knew where I was going with it. But the new parents, one of them would finally ask, and they'd be like, "Coach, why do you want the second best team in conference?" I said, "That's a great question. So glad you asked. I want to know that my second 11 players are the second best team in conference. And that way I will guarantee that I will always win the conference." And we won it 6 out of 9 years with that philosophy, that you may be the second 11, but it's your job to make that first 11 the best that they could possibly be. And then when one of them goes down with that Damon K. Ross twisted ankle, you're there to step in, and you don't lose any space.
You can read that one, because Joni, how are you? I love you. Hopefully all is well.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's
Joni Hostry says, "You guys popped up on my phone this morning. The station meant so much to Ron. Good to see you're still going." Yes, ma'am. And if you take a look right up over here, Ron's in studio with us. I did not plan that. Is there We try to honor him every day. So
every show. And
hopefully you're well, my dear. Always praying for you. Look at, and man, blast from the past now. How are you,
Sheila? Good morning.
Yes.
From Nairobi,
So,
Kenya.
Yep. Good evening over
Good
there.
evening.
That's right. But yeah, Joni, absolutely. Love you. Hope you and the family are good. So,
Yeah, that's
what a great day.
what
a great day this is already.
Every time somebody uses a pun to get a laugh,
Ah,
Ron pops into my mind. He
Yeah.
was the pun master.
Yes, he
without
was.
question.
it was so good. Yeah. So yeah, I think that I think there's a lot to be said about challenging yourself. How do you improve yourself? Not everybody can be the star, right? Not everybody can be the star, but everybody can play.
Everybody can play.
Now, time for a little bit of brain.
A little bit of brain training. You know, I've heard so many people go around and say, I can't believe I just did that. Well, believe it. You did it. We're in constant conflict right now.
Mhm.
Is it real news? Is it fake news? You know, this guy, guy going in and shooting. There have been more mass shootings this year already than anywhere in the history of the country. It's just a lot of craziness going on there. And if we get absorbed in that craziness, we're going to find ourselves dwelling in it and being part of it. When you begin training your brain to work, to function, amazing things happen. I'm working with a couple, and their 2 children right now. The children are, I want to say, 11 and 13. And the 11-year-old is the best out of all of them. He's a little redheaded, just wonderful, wonderful young man. And watching this brain training take this little guy and move him forward, and he is getting excited about what he's doing. They're taking sailing classes, and the one thing I asked him, since we've been doing the training, have you noticed any different? And I asked each of the family members that, and mom and dad are both police chiefs of local communities, and he was the one who popped up and said, my rigging and my sailing it's been a challenge for me, and since we've been doing the training, it's coming natural. He says I'm quicker. I was out doing some of the other kids. They play a game called duck tag on their sailboats. They have these little sailboats, and they're running the sailboats and throwing balls at each other. If you get hit with the ball, you got to jump off your sailboat and take a dunk. And they have a lot of fun. He said he won like three games, and he's one of the youngest guys out there. So when we will slow down and take the time to actually train our brain to work, to function, incredible things are happening. And the cool thing is, as I'm training people, I'm going through the training myself every single time I take it.
It's always a good thing, coaching.
And the mom is not only is she a police chief, but she's also a coach for other police chiefs, a mentor. And she had a new client. The one thing she said, that was the best the first session has ever gone for me. So even, extremely high level people are experiencing noticeable differences in their day with just, you two have been through the basic level training. But as we move forward with this, it's the most powerful thing that
Well, it is. And that's a challenge, right? 2 years ago, I challenged myself to read a book a week, right? So 52 books. I ended up that year reading 65 or 67, something like that, right? It was a challenge. Last year, my 53rd year, it was 53 and 53. So I wanted to lose 53 pounds in 53 weeks. I ended up losing 28 pounds, right? Not 53. Some people say, hey, that you failed. No, man, I'm almost 30 pounds lighter. Right. I feel better. My joints feel better. The year before last, I challenged myself not to have a drink of alcohol all year. I did that. Right. I challenge myself all the time. Right. And if you tune in on Friday morning, Scott and I will be talking about challenges. I'll probably put my next challenge out there for myself, but it's, it's something that I like to do to see if I can do it. Right. And I'm not talking about crazy things like, base jumping or
Right.
jumping out of an airplane, right? I mean, I want to try to better my position in life. Now I don't drink as much alcohol. I notice the effects of alcohol on my body, the sore joints,
Tired.
the inflammation, the tired, and just like, why do I do that to myself? Right?
Yeah.
You go a year without it, you're like, oh, man.
Well, I will be at the wedding coming up, so
Yeah.
I will. I'll take notes to see how you're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm an iced tea guy. I'll have an ice cold beer if somebody hands me because sometimes there's just nothing better than ice cold beer. And I don't mean like a micro brew. Just give me a beer that tastes like a beer.
Yeah.
I don't need it to taste like
I don't
grapefruit.
need frappuccinos and capistranis. I need coffee.
That's
I
it.
Right.
don't need
Black
fancy-
coffee.
I need
Okay.
just a nice cold beer.
Yeah.
There's challenges within the challenge though, because you said your goal was to lose 53 pounds, you lost 28.
Yeah.
But then there's a challenge in what do you do? How do you manage when you don't hit the goal
Yeah.
or reach the challenge? Because most people, like you said, will go, "Oh, you didn't make it," and most of the time we'll do that to ourselves. We'll beat ourselves up worse than
Yeah.
anybody else can.
Yeah.
And the challenge to be able to look and say, "Okay, I made progress."
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for at the end of the day is progress.
Right. I moved the dial from A to B, not A to Z.
Yeah.
Right. A to Z would have been great, but I moved it from A to B or maybe A to
Right.
C. But now I've changed. The challenge has created new habits for my wife and I. Right. And she's down, I think, 25 pounds too, because
Right.
she saw what I was doing and we got on the wagon together. Now we're shredding for the wedding, of course. But I can take a look back and go, oh, here's had I. Now I don't beat myself up for that. It's a learning point. Going, okay,
Right.
had I done this?
And
You
thank
know.
you very much for that wedding invitation, by the way. The stress it has put my wife under to
Yeah,
find
you're
that
welcome.
next dress is
Yeah, you're welcome. Well,
it's been interesting. It's been fun watching her because should I go print? Should I go
Yeah.
saw? I'm like, you have 18 dresses in that closet nobody has ever seen before. You're cool with is there one you like? Yeah, but I really want to buy something new. I said, well,
that's why I am. I
something
had
new.
to buy a new pair of shoes. Got some nice ones.
Shana says one of the most important things to remind people is that coaches are human and don't always give that best effort. Never let anyone determine your value but always respect the position. So many coaching for so many reasons. One thing about coaching is, and I've coached athletically for over 45 years, is I have never, with the one exception, I've never been able to compete on the field. Now, with our junior high conference track meet, at the very last race every year was a relay race of 4x100 that was one female athlete, one male athlete, one female coach, one male coach.
Mm.
So I did get to compete in the conference, but the points did not go towards the champion. And the baton was a banana. And the person who crossed the finish line first, well, when you crossed the finish line, you had to eat the banana. So you could cross second, but still eat your banana first and win the competition. So I did get to compete once as a coach,
Interesting.
but beyond that, whether it's a life coach, an athletic coach, a business coach, I had one guy moved to a different coach and then came back to me, and I asked him the question, why did you think you needed a different coach? And he said, well, it felt like you were making me do all the work. You can't make this stuff up, right? And I said, well, it's your business. I don't collect income from your business. You obviously write me a check to coach, but it's your business. You have to do the work. Or when I leave,
Yeah.
you're going to fall apart.
Right.
And that's where that's where as a bench mob person, right, is
Yeah.
I've learned not to get upset with someone else's effort.
Yeah.
Right? Because my passion runs different than yours.
Yeah.
For whatever it is, whether it's lending, and my passion is different for lending than yours. Your passion for teaching is different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So as I look at people and work with people on a daily basis and try to put out programming for the station is I can only look at my effort and there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of reasons why, you know what, I just don't like you in green shirt. I'm not playing you today. You know, I'm going to ignore you, whatever the case may be. In business, to your point, you know, I just had the opportunity to report directly to the CEO. It's the first time in my career that I wasn't a CEO, but I reported directly to a CEO. And I in the banking industry, and my eyes were opened. CEO is a wonderful human being, but he was painting a picture, but not. So it's like, listen to what I'm saying, but I got to see what he did,
Mm-hmm.
and there were two different pictures.
Yeah.
if that's a good way to put it, right?
Yeah,
so I learned a lot, and I couldn't get upset with his energy or what he was doing, because he saw a different picture than what I did.
yeah.
Right. And I've learned with people's effort and energy. Hey, good morning, Judy Ann. How are you? I've learned over time where I used to get upset with, you didn't give it your all. Well, maybe you did that day. Right.
Yeah.
And just because I showed up and was, you know, gonna go until I puked or whatever the case may be, or I was going to work 20 hours that day to get the job done, and you cut out after 8, whatever the case may be, is all right, you be you. I you know, so many times the lessons from the bench are, I'm comparing myself to that guy. I'm comparing myself to that gal. I should.
Yeah, that's
Well,
always a challenge.
yeah.
Sorry, Coach.
Yeah.
That's always a challenge, because, like you said, people are not going to have the same level of passion or commitment that you have. And that's something that I currently struggle with at school when I'm working with these students. And just because I see things that way doesn't mean that it's right, doesn't mean it's the only way to see things. There's always other perspectives.
Yeah.
But you know, but there's one guy who I work with who I appreciate him a lot, because he and I can sit and talk. Like, if we see something differently, we can come talk, like, dude, what was that all about? And, you know, we can talk through those things. Right. But like I said, the challenge though is when you care a lot, and the way you care, especially if you have a group of people, because I've got a group of people, like, we see things very similarly. So we sit and, you know, as you're saying this, I'm like, wow, that's an eye opener. Because we sit and, like, we're criticizing all these people for the way they do things. And, you know, do they care as much? I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Because they see things the way, in a different way than I do. And so their approach is going to be different. And so, you know, what I've got to get better at doing is going and asking people, okay, help me understand what your thinking was here, because they may have a good reason for doing it, other than they're just an asshole or they're a jerk. You know.
So think of it this way. Bob Ross,
your dad.
If he went and took a look at everybody who was trying to paint the same picture as him at the end of the show, his is you know, you're like, you know, and most everybody else's now looks like abstract or the sip and paint things. Just think how upset. How could you get this wrong? Right. Look, it was a happy little tree.
Right.
This is not a happy tree, Kent. You know. Well, I don't have a 2-inch brush. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to paint with my fingers. That's what I got. Yeah, right. You know. So as an artist, as a person, those challenges are, you're painting your picture, and every player on the bench, every person on the team, every person in your life has their own canvas, and we don't think they do.
Yeah.
And the challenge, I think, the people who win are the people who challenge themselves to look at their own canvas rather than to, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we have a tendency to paint other people into our picture. When somebody does something, somebody cuts you off in traffic, oh, that guy is an idiot, because if I cut somebody off in traffic, I would be an idiot. That guy may be rushing to the hospital because his wife's having a baby. But we bring them into our life experience and expect they're acting this way because of us. I was speaking on diversity to McHenry High School, And I said, I want you to picture a person on either side of me. On this side is a really loudmouth black guy. Well, that's nothing.
What are you trying to say, Coach?
Yeah. Ouch.
On this side,
Next on Bridging Civil Tension.
it's a white guy. He's kind of quiet, but he resembles me. He looks a lot like me. Which one am I more like? And then there's the white guy. He says, well, now what if you knew this was Martin Luther King and this was Jeffrey Dahmer? This is the guy I want to be more like. And God,
You eat people?
guy-
That's weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
And we have a tendency, because we look in a mirror, we see what we look like, we
Good
know what
morning,
we
Drew.
think and feel like. We expect everyone else who looks like us to think and feel like us. And that could be because everybody has a unique set of circumstances they grew up in. They have a unique culture that helped to form them in their younger years. And we got to stop writing people into our story and allow them to live their story and accept them, as you alluded to earlier, for who they are. That there's a new phrase out there that says, you be you, right? You be you, you be you. We're not letting everybody be you. You be you as long as you agree with me. And then we're good.
Right.
So true.
Right.
So
No,
true.
that is true.
So
And that is a huge challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Good morning, Andrew.
Especially when you work with a bunch of dicks. Right. I think that some of the biggest lessons learned from the bench, are learned because you're able to be an outside observer.
Mhm.
Right. My dad, always Tom Jones. So you got Bob Ross, I got Tom Jones.
Oh,
Right?
nice.
The old hometown.
Isn't it unusual? Anyway, so he always would say, as growing up, when my brothers and I were, fisticuffing or whatever we were doing, arguing as brothers do, and my dad would always be like, well, as an outside observer, here's what I see.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, God, shut up, Dad, outside of,
How dare you make sense?
Yeah. And now as I'm in, got kids who are getting married and stuff like that, I'm like, well, as an outside observer, and I'm just like, I get it now. But on the bench, you're able to observe. You're I love being an assistant coach more than a coach, because you're looking at the game from different angles.
Mhm.
Right. When I'm sitting on the bench as an assistant coach and I'm not up yelling, I can sit back and go, here's why we do this. Your footwork needs to do this. Here's how you shift, right? Instead of what's happening in the second. As a head coach, as an owner of a business, I'm always looking at, how's this play going right now?
Yeah.
As that assistant coach, I can be an outside observer and go, here's why. Hey, if you do this then will happen.
Mhm.
Right. So there's two different angles.
I was assisting my daughter with the 7th grade girls basketball team and coaching against Ted Pillow, one of my really good friends, off the coaching court. And there's like 4 seconds left. We're down by 1 point. And my daughter's calling the kids in to encourage them. I said, can I have this play? And she's like, sure. And I said, all right, girls, I want you all line up in this line. When Lisa slaps the ball, I want you to all run to their basket. They're like, what? Just do it. And then we had one little girl just faster than a blazing rocket. And I said, and Lisa, after you slap the ball and they're about halfway down to that court, I want you to just throw the ball high in the air, bouncing towards our basket. And this girl, Megan, I said, Megan, I want you to go get that ball and shoot a layup. That won't work. I said, you just watch. Well, as soon as she slaps the ball and the girls all start running that way, Ted's going, no. And he looks at me like, you do, because Ted drew that play up about 4 years ago. And I was with him. And, as a coach, you can do that, but the kids still have to
Execute.
Yeah. And that execution is because you've worked and connected with them so hard in practice. And now they're able to go out and perform when it's time.
Yeah. Rolls us right into, and Joni, if you're still out there listening, of course, this is the part where we say, I did not plan this. And of course, this is all after our good friend Ron Hostry and his book. You can find out on Amazon and or anywhere online. But I did not plan that. Make life work when plans don't. So this part of the show is where we always like to just say, okay, here's what life handed us that we didn't plan, right? And this entire journey here at 21.6, we're 5.5 years in, 21.6,
Wow.
and we're starting now to lift off the pad, right? And some great things are
The smoke is coming from the bottom of the rock.
some great things are happening. Here's what I did not plan that, right? Is everybody, you started, and we had no idea what this was going to be when we started it in a walk-in closet over at the Sticker Dude, right? And now we're taking a look at putting our second and third studios in, and I mean it's going. The amazing thing is that I didn't plan is just the relationships that I've been able to build with you guys, with Drew, with Tony the Kid, with Shayna. Even though Shayna, I feel like I know her very intimately, right? And I don't know, we may have eaten in the same restaurant at the same time. I'm not sure, but the whole thing is, and again, the challenge now is, how many lives do we change? We got Sheila coming in from Kenya. We got Gary from Singapore. We've got Steve Eggins down in Australia.
The nut.
The nut, right? Demand. It's such a blessing that I had no idea how much this crazy little radio station would allow me to grow individually. Right. And I play the dick on a lot of shows, right? I poke the bear,
Right. Got to go with what you're good at.
But the amazing thing is the amount of education I've had, a lifetime of education in these 5 years, from Ron, from Pete, from Coach, from Damon, just being able to have trusted people. I didn't plan that, right? All I wanted to be was the next Casey Kasem,
Right.
right?
Well, when we first started this journey, Don Citizen lived up here. He has since moved to McKinney, Texas. I introduced to some guys down there, brought him to the Ziegler meetings, and for the first time, Monday this week, Don was the keynote speaker for the Ziegler morning devotions.
Nice.
And knocked it out of the park. I mean,
that is great.
He's such a good speaker. I really appreciate it.
So, Ron's book premise is, something bad happened, right? But what I'm trying to say is, I did not plan that, make life work when plans don't. And it's sometimes it's a good thing that wasn't planned.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing that wasn't planned. I've got a friend that I've known for 30 years, and he's incarcerated for the next 20, right? And the entire time that I've known this guy, he just whatever, he walked through life, and he obviously made some bad choices. But now he's for whatever reason, right? God's reached into his heart and massaged his heart. I'm like, well, you really got no other choice.
He's got the time.
Yeah, got it right.
Let that work.
So there's some of you who say that, but he probably didn't plan on the next 20 years of his life being in prison.
Right.
But he's making the best of it. He's he's doing things. He's a model citizen in the prison system, right? Maybe that's good, but I'm sure whether it's out of fear or whatever, or just realizing, man, hey, there's something better and more out there than me. That's a good thing. So I don't think that you may plan for good things and great things may happen. Life may give you great things. And I think you always have to keep that in mind too.
Can you think of a time where life worked when your plans didn't?
Not to that degree, but a good thing, like just being able to hang out with the buddy Sunday. That was pretty cool. I was supposed to go to an event with some coworkers, and a buddy of mine called up, who I don't get to see much. So he's got a really successful YouTube channel that's going on now.
What is it?
Showtime. His name is Showbiz the Adult. He's
Okay.
a boxing analyst. He's a comedic. Like when he first started, people were like, dude, this is ridiculous. You can't do this and talk about boxing. Nobody's going to take you seriously. Well, he's got almost 200,000 followers now.
Get him on the Rejects. Rejects would love to have him.
He's that's a good idea. Yeah, he's been to Tyson's Ranch. He's like,
Wow.
got all these connections, that's out there. So I don't get to see him and talk to him much, but he ended up calling me on Sunday.
Awesome.
And it's like, hey man, what are you doing? I'm passing through town going home. I was like, nothing, just chilling. So, he ended up coming by. We got to hang out. And I met this guy through another friend of mine's. So we went to a concert like years ago. And it's funny how it happened, because I could tell he was like acting funny towards me. And I'm like, why is this dude acting? He was mad because I was there with his friend. I'm like, I'm the one that invited our buddy Mike. Mike, you guys met Michael. He was one of the guys from the Rim.
Right.
And so at any rate, so we ended up over the years, hanging out and stuff. And unfortunately now they're not talking.
Oh,
But he and I are still cool. But it was just a good time to hang out with him, because I don't
Right.
get to do it much because he's busy. He's always, doing stuff on his YouTube channel and traveling to these different places. So I was supposed to go hang out with some friends and ended up having even more fun with an old friend of mine, and I did not plan that.
Yeah, see, that's why I say it doesn't always have to be something bad that popped up.
Yeah.
Something good, man. And I think that's, it all depends on how you approach things. But a lot of times we go through life looking for that Easter egg of bad, instead of going, man, this is just a great.
egg?
This was just a great
Exactly.
day, and when you're able to sit at the end of the day and go, this was just a great day.
Many years ago, my wife worked at the Golden Bear restaurant as a waitress, and she was kind to one of the cooks who wasn't like your real outgoing guy. He was a very isolated guy, but she was kind to him always. He wound up getting 8th row tickets to Barry Manilow at Ravinia Park, and just because we had something else that was going that weekend, and she's like, "Do you want to go see Barry Manilow?" Did not plan that. One of the best concerts I ever went to in my life, simply because she was kind to someone.
Oh, Mandy. Sorry. Word. Cheated on your friend with a friend adjacent. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I think that the lessons from the bench are even if you're a star, even if you're the go-getter in your life, in your story, in your painting, I think there's times that you have to go sit on the bench to learn a lesson. Right? I think you have to be able to just take that deep breath sometimes, step away, step outside of, and go, man, right? The past week, we're up on Ice Lake in Iron River. I had every intention to get together with Nick Baumgartner. Nick's been on the show, gold medal winner, snowboarder. And I was loving lake life. And I mean, we're in a town of what 1,200 maybe. Right. So, I mean, I know where he lives. And I could have just called him up and I texted, said, hey, I'll be in the area, if I can break away. He's a construction worker, right? When he's not snowboarding. So it's his busy season too, but for whatever reason, I didn't. But what I realized was that we try to be a player in someone else's story. We try to be a non-bench sitter on somebody else's canvas. Right. And here's what I mean. Through life, growing up in the 80s, 70s and 80s, here's what you're going to do. 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 There's still pieces of me you go, man, I haven't been at the same company for 30 years. That's what I was supposed to do. Because that was somebody else's canvas.
Yeah.
Right. So I never really was able to paint my own picture of success or define my own success. And now the challenge at 54 is my canvas is white.
Got a brand new
brand new
canvas. Let's get
canvas.
Yeah.
started.
Right. What painting can I create the next 54 years? And people are like, 54 years, you'd be 108. Actually, I'm going to live to be 140. So I'm not going to hit a midlife crisis until I'm 70. So,
Well, I'm 2 years away.
right.
I had a kid, Max, on my bench. Max was an okay soccer player. He could make a few things happen when he got it, but he just lacked focus. And I was trying to encourage him to get that focus. We're down at a playoff game in Oregon, Illinois, and I need Max to get on the field. And I turn around, I go, Max. And I turn around and Max isn't anywhere on the. Where'd Max go? One of the guys goes, he went to the concession stand to get some nachos in the middle
my
of the
God.
game.
Yeah, you shared that a couple weeks ago.
Right? And it's like sometimes on the bench you don't learn the lessons. You're just on the bench.
Well, his lesson was, well, hey, why I got to be over here and be hungry? I ain't gonna play.
But the story continues. I went to an MC3 meeting with Bill last
Hey, Jess.
Wednesday, and lady comes up. She goes, "Are you Coach Papa?" And I go, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "I'm Max's mom."
That's great.
And so I just made that reconnection. We talked about him 2 weeks ago, and then I ran into his mom arbitrarily at a MC meeting. I did not plan that.
Yeah, how's Max doing?
Max is doing great. He's working for a construction company. He's
There we go.
making his climb up the wall.
There you go. Good. Well, of course, at about 10 minutes to the top of the hour, time for Believe with
how much we
Damon
had
K.
someone in here who
Ross.
could talk about Believe.
Listen, see those colors up there? If you're on the radio, I apologize, but the colors are absolutely beautiful. Basically, what Bob Ross was doing, and it was at this point that my daughter and I were like, God, that's just gorgeous. How does he do that?
Right. That is hilarious.
Take it away, Damon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Damon K. Ross.
Hello. So as we were talking about challenging ourselves, one thing that I think about a lot, and I'm learning so much more about, even at my ripe old age of 48.
Womp, 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 womp.
No, it's just learning how to challenge yourself and being willing to look within yourself to challenge, or taking the challenge to look at those things in your lives that are hindering your growth. Those things that we're afraid to look at, that we keep wanting to push away from, those emotions that can tug at us, can start to bring us down. Just challenge yourself to really sit and look at those things, because the more we shove things down, the more we hold things in, the less we have, the less energy we have, the less space we have to bring in new information, the less space we have to make new commitments, to create new habits in order for us to grow. So I wrote a poem back when I was like 22 years old that I want to share with you guys. So give me a moment. And my eyes are not what they used to be. So I'm going to, I want to try to see this on this little phone here. But it's called The Greatest Challenger. Through the time I've spent on this earth, I've discovered many things. One of them is the greatest challenger we all know in life. Who is it? Why does he do what he does? Those answers are challenging, frustrating, and confusing. But before we answer those questions, we must identify this challenger of ours. This challenger is very familiar to us. It is someone we should know better than anyone else, but in most cases, we don't. We spend every day of our lives with this individual. We've cried with this person, and we've laughed with this person. We've experienced every emotion with this individual. We have even looked this individual in the eyes on a daily basis. I hope you figured this out. Our greatest challenger is ourselves. We tell ourselves we are worth nothing, when in reality, we are worth more than any precious metal or stone. We set goals for ourselves only to sabotage our own progress. We make promises to ourselves only to break them, then justify our lack of commitment and integrity. We let ourselves down and create self-doubt and pity. Because of our own actions, we take out our frustrations on others, and we distrust others. We should look in the mirror and get face to face with the responsible party. but we place the blame for our failures on others. Why do we do this? Simple, because it is easiest and causes the least pain. However, if we are to grow to be the best we can be, we must face ourselves, look at that great challenger in the mirror, the real source of our problems, and accept that we are our greatest challenger. Then work on the solution or the conquering of our challenger. When this process begins, the rewards we deserve will follow. But remember, the battle with our challenger is a lifelong battle. Believe in yourself, love yourself, and start winning the battle within.
Boom.
Oh,
Boom.
Boom.
Drop the mic. Yeah, that was great. Fire. Or as the kids say, bussin'. Absolutely bussin'. Yes, Shayna, I do have a birthday challenge for this year, but here's the hook. Tune in Friday morning
We're-
to
we're
the
not-
grounds with
we're
Giles
not
and
good
Jones.
enough for him to
That's
share
right.
it on this show. It's got to be on
Yeah,
the ground.
Tune in Friday morning to the grounds with Giles and Jones.
Does the grounds have a no?
See,
We have a two
Bald
bald
guys
guys
and
and
a
a
microphone.
microphone. They don't have grounds. Doesn't have anything like that.
which is the anchor for the station.
The foundation.
The foundation,
of
yeah.
the station.
Of the station,
There's
yeah.
a poem in
So-
itself right there.
So I'm thinking the challenge should be dropped on this show. But
Well, it should.
no pressure.
None.
No pressure.
But here's and that's how you cross promote and get people drug into this new show on the ground, right? They're different. So yeah, we'll be talking about it there. So you're going to show up this Friday. Yep, I will be here this Friday. I know I wasn't. I was Lake Life, man. Lake Life happened. It was wonderful.
Well, Friday didn't. I was here Friday, and Friday didn't happen. Scott wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, no, he had a little bit of a reaction to some whiskey. Anyway. I mean, he's got a wheat reaction. It wasn't that he was drunk. It just his body doesn't like wheat.
A cliffhanger. Shayna
Understood.
says.
Yes.
Well, one of the things you touched on is something that after years of teaching leadership, that I came across the book on self-leadership. And sometimes we can be very
Mhm.
good at leading
Yeah.
others, but not so good at
Mhm.
leading ourselves and making those decisions. I always said, as a plant manager, as a head coach, as a company commander in the military, I always had a staff of people around me, and I could make creative decisions and then hand them off for them to get done. When I became an entrepreneur, I had a staff of 3, me, myself, and I, and those other 2 guys weren't listening very well. So self-leadership is really it's a thing that we all have to work on and learn. And I'm falling back into, I went through the bypass and everything was going good. Well, now I'm back working 5 days a week, and I'm falling back into some of my old habits a little bit, my old
Mhm.
default behaviors. And what you bring out is a good point that, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Right.
Right. And so,
Well, I like what you said. Well, what's hampering your growth, what's holding your growth back, and it, last year in my yard, I've got these huge 40-foot tall or better maple trees. They're gorgeous. They're huge. They were awesome, but I had to have somebody come in and prune them, cut them back so that they're healthy, so that they last longer. So many times we don't. We just see the growth. It could be bad growth. It could be horrible habits, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's holding you back from having that beautiful painting, right? That you envision. But we don't take the time to trim back some of that growth.
Yep.
And say, you know what? I get that is a good habit for you right now and it feels good. But if you cut that habit away, you're going to grow more.
Yep.
Right. And sometimes we mistake a comfortable shade of that tree for, hey, it's great, but had we not, I mean, these things they're awesome. But had we not trimmed them back the way that they should, then, maybe during one of these storms this past year, they would have fell on the house. I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
And we talk about, well, we've heard, from many different people that our brains are trained to keep us safe.
Yeah.
Like our whole nature is to keep us safe. So the challenge that we're issuing to all of you is to really go against your nature of being safe and protecting
Mhm.
yourself and challenge yourself. Nothing grand, nothing's going to put you in, in disarray, but find some little challenge that you can have for yourself that'll take you just one step closer to whatever it is that you're looking for in your life.
and this is where I actually get to disagree with Damon just a little bit.
Okay.
There's some truth in that. But what about the woman who's in an abusive relationship? She gets out of it and she goes into another abusive relationship. Her brain goes where she can survive, not necessarily where it's going to keep her safe, but what the subconscious programming or default behaviors have led them to. If they don't make a conscious choice, like you're saying, to get out of that, they're going to go back into that same situation over and over. Cigarette in 30 years.
Whoa. To me, again, I'm not a brain guy, right? But to me, the type is a type. The situation she got herself out of, she felt that gentleman was, as an outside observer, you're like,
Right.
you're right back into it. You're right back. Why do you keep doing that? But to them, they made the choice to get out of from that person who was beating her.
Right.
So now I've left that guy who's beating me. Now, this new guy doesn't hit me quite so hard, right? But as an outside observer, it's easy for us to go, you're right back into the same slump, girl.
Yeah.
Or guy, whatever,
Yeah.
right? So I think I understand what you're saying, right? But from an outside observer point, that's easy for us to crawl in somebody else's brain and go, huh. I think what I hear Damon saying is you got to push yourself to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But your brain's going to say, I want to keep you alive and safe.
Because of whatever trauma that they're in, they, for whatever reason, think that they are in a safe space because it's familiar.
Yeah.
Familiar doesn't.
And they know how to
mean
exist in that environment.
Right.
They know how to survive in that environment.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Shayna says, I like the line in the poem. Why do we do that? Maybe put it up on the site. Have a great week, guys. Thanks for the insight.
Thanks, Shayna.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will do.
Of course, this is two
Bald
bald
guys
guys
and
and
a
a
microphone.
microphone. And we sometimes go over, which we can. We sometimes will go to quarter after the hour. But hang around because Metaphysical Meanderings with Lana Duncan Hartgraves, Master Psychic, will be coming on in about a half hour, 9:30. But yeah, I believe that again, that the lesson from the benches comes from listen, you're jumping into that same situation. I'm an outside observer, right? And so I need to rescue you when all I should be able to do is maybe just pick you up and hug you every time you fall. I don't know. Right. That's our, that's tough as leaders. That's tough as coaches, because we want to say, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Let me, hey, listen, why? I mean, that I've had teams. Okay, here's the situation. They can answer it. Situation comes up. They have no idea what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
They don't execute. Right.
Yeah.
So my rules for success, is execute what you practice. It's number 4, right? It's a number 4 on a list of 10, makes the top 5. And so many times in life, from an outside observer's point, so many people do not execute what they practice.
True.
Right?
It goes to, yeah. And a lot of that goes to having the right mind frame.
Yeah.
There's a thing that I say a lot of days: if you want a frame of mind, rehearse it.
Yeah.
If you want a result, rehearse it. So you have to do those mental reps as much as you do the physical reps.
Yeah.
Like I had a thing I did on visualization that I talked about some years ago, and I talked about a scenario where, but like my brain was so weird. Like, you know how we all do the 3, 2, 1, whatever.
Yeah.
For years, I always missed in my mind. For years, like I could never make the shot. I don't care if it was a layup, I would miss the shot. But when I got put into those situations in real life, I was able to make those shots and execute it. And I was wondering, like, well, that visualization stuff is crap. Well, it wasn't, because even though the rehearsal in my mind was missing the shot,
yeah,
my body was used to being in that situation. And my body was not afraid of what would happen if I didn't make the shot, because I lived it 1,000 times.
Right.
So I was rehearsing what it was like to be in that situation.
Yeah.
And so whatever result I got out of it, I was okay
Sure.
because I rehearsed being in that situation.
Yeah. You didn't tense. You didn't
Didn't
short
just-
arm it. Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
had situations where I wasn't playing and coach would throw me in the game at the end of the game. And I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough to play, but you put me in now. But the play was get the ball to DeMond, everybody move out of his way.
Secret weapon.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
But there was no pressure because I've done this 1,000 times and I've missed 1,000. So if I miss, it's no big
It's
deal.
1,001.
Yep.
Big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But you have to rehearse those things
Mhm.
in your mind. So to go to your point about practice, what are you practicing? Are you
Yeah.
practicing the right things?
And rehearsing those things also allows you to realize that it really means nothing in the grand scheme of life. This moment, perhaps. Why am I putting so much pressure on?
Well, the referee's call that everybody's arguing and screaming at, and in the after-action review of the game, is that referee's call that gave the player the incentive to step up and win the game. That call made the difference, but not the difference you thought it made. It was a horrible call, and I let them know. But at the end of the day, that situation brought success.
It's funny you say that. Sports referee people, so forgive me for those who don't know. You guys remember Rasheed Wallace?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Used to always get texts. Well, I was listening to an interview the other day, and Chauncey Billups was talking about him when they were with the Pistons, and he said he actually a lot of times would play better after he got the technical foul. So he said they had one game where Rasheed just wasn't doing well, and he started mouthing off, and he went to the ref and was like, "Ref, you gonna let him talk to you like that? I wouldn't take that if I were you." And he teed up Rasheed, and then he said like he scored like 20 of their next
Just
28
reset,
points
yeah.
or something, and just went off. So, but to your point about that situation, like you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what results
Yeah.
you're going to get after that.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times as we're on the bench, we're judging, we're passing judgment.
Mm-hmm.
The coach doesn't know what he's doing. She doesn't know. I'm better than her. Whatever the case may be.
I would have made that.
I'm sitting in my cubicle going, well, I could manage better than this yutz,
Mhm.
right? I know better. Let me show you, right? Like, just give me the chance. And we judge when we should be trying to learn a lesson, right?
Yeah.
You're there for a reason. I mean, I think of if you've ever watched The Chosen, about the disciples and Christ is these were all different personalities, different people, and they had to come in on that bench, and instead of passing judgment, they had to learn. and I think that when you're able to open your mind and learn,
Mhm.
the paint starts flowing a little better on the canvas, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people, how many times you guys have motivationally done an address to somebody, right? Motivationally spoke, and you get done and go, well, that was the weirdest. I was just off. That was not good. And 25 people come up to you afterwards like, man, you were speaking right to my heart.
It's a weird feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because we tend to judge so much.
Yeah.
Right. And we practiced so much, and it didn't come off the way we had envisioned it or practiced it.
Yep.
Yet so many people came up and go, that's a masterpiece. Right. So I talk about human mosaics, right? You take stained glass windows, go to any kind of mosaic. It's broken pieces, and we as people are broken.
Mhm.
Yet we don't accept our brokenness because we think we have to be perfect. Yet if we understood that our brokenness is what makes us beautiful,
Yeah.
right? And from the bench, a lesson that I've learned is mistakes are part of the game. Brokenness is what it is. And if you want something beautiful, you might have to break it, right?
Yeah.
And not act like it isn't broke.
Yeah. I had a video I did a couple years ago based off of this song by this group called Verbal Quest called Broken Crayon Still Color. And the concept is, when the crayon breaks, we don't toss it away. We just peel the paper back.
Yep.
And you keep coloring. So even as a person who you feel broken, you still have value. Like your value doesn't go away because there are broken pieces. And as you talk about the mosaic, it's put together by broken pieces. Your life can be filled with quote unquote broken pieces, but it doesn't mean that
And
it's
shouldn't
not
front.
valuable. And right.
Or don't try to act like you ain't
No,
broken,
no.
because your brokenness is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like the crayon. You can't pretend that that crayon isn't broken.
Right.
It's broken.
And what do? You start coloring on the
start-
edge to try to get the point back.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right off the bat. You're like,
Exactly. So, again, that's a beautiful lesson that you
Yeah.
can learn from the sideline, from the bench.
Thanks, Jen.
Watching other people who
And
put themselves back together, or with the assistance of other people, put
Right.
themselves back together to do something productive in life.
And what I wish that our listeners to do is just that. Accept your brokenness and let it be your beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Quit trying to front that you're not broken, because we're all broken. Lisa's got a show. It might be kicking off this week. If not, it's the following week. On Sunday mornings, she's going to be back on Sunday mornings, and it's going to be cool. And it talks a little bit about that. You have a outside of the box, you try to present that I'm not broken. Inside of the box, you're scrambled eggs, right?
Did she come up with a name yet? I know we were.
Yeah, she did. I don't
Okay.
have it in front of me, so I can't promote it, but we're going to try to get her on. But we're excited. She'll be on
She's
on
incredible.
Sunday mornings. So
Her puppy's pretty incredible too. It's
yeah,
a
good
little
dog. Good dog.
Good dog.
Melt those crayons down into a whole new strange one. Absolutely. Sometimes
Stronger one.
stronger one. That's it. Listen, we can't thank you all enough for taking some of your time out here on Hump Day with two bald guys and a microphone. Now, Demond, you're welcome back next week. Coach is going to be out in Texas, so it just might be two bald guys now instead of two bald guys and one who thinks he is.
Right.
Undercover. Bald guy undercover.
But we want everybody out there. Listen, lessons from the bench. What lessons do you learn? Take time to take a look at your own canvas. Take time to paint your own picture, and understand that lessons from the bench are the ones that really are going to catapult your life to where you need to get it. But absolutely. Come back in about 15 minutes or so for Metaphysical Meanderings with Master Psychic Lana Duncan Hartgraves. If you're listening to this on the podcast, she doesn't follow the podcast. That's just part of the show.
It's part of the show.
Bravos here at 216 Net. Thanks for getting caught in the net with us. And remember, until we meet again, to be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.
It is time to get off the bench and get back in the game. Have an absolutely blessed and beautiful day.